It's even funnier when they like translate like one word to English just to like, yeah, or 周永, like ing, like the ing, like they would add it like I'm like, yo,
周緊,
stop, yeah.
Do they also say like eating is like sick ing or something?
Sick
Do people say that?
Sick ing.
or the other way, 嘟緊啊.
嘟緊.
Oh, 嘟緊啦.
Yes.
Welcome to Proudly Asian, a podcast series that tells bold and proud stories of Asians by Asians. My name is Isabel, your podcast host, and I'm here to find stories that challenge biases we all face every day. There's never just one way to look at Asians. This podcast will take you through a deep dive into the life stories, struggles, and triumphs of young Asians around the world.
On today's episode, we have Paji and Iasmin, two half-Filipino podcasters born and raised in Macau. Currently based in the US, they are the co-hosts of the Outcasts from the 853 podcast, where they talk about Cantonese culture and growing up as third culture kids in Macau. They join us to share their insiders list of top Macau street food and their favorite Cantonese phrases. Welcome back to Proudly Asian. For those of you who are into your Cantonese podcasts or take an interest in learning the Cantonese language, you will definitely have come across these two beautiful ladies who are behind the podcast Outcasts from the 853. So now, without further ado, let's bring them in. Welcome to Proudly Asian, Paji and Iasmin. How are you?
Hello. Hi.
Doing great, doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Did I get it right? You guys are coming to us from Miami today.
She flew in from Miami, but I live in Delray Beach, which is an hour away.
Nice. It looks amazing from all the IG stories showing you guys adventures together. So is Iasmin on holiday or what brings you there?
Well, yeah, we've always wanted to do this where we, come together and create content together because we've been doing this all remotely and since I could come during this time. So
the last time we were together was in New York City.
Yeah.
And that was hard because we didn't really have our own spot. Like we were in the hotel room and we're like, you know what, one day you gotta come to my spot. But then it's like a vacation here every day. So it's kind of like two birds, one stone.
Yeah, because it's super cheap actually to go from New York to Florida. So it's like, might as well make it happen.
Is it because the ticket prices got a bit cheaper after the summer holiday?
It's always been cheap actually.
Really?
Yeah, New York to
I didn't
Miami.
know that.
Mm-hmm. It's always under 100 or like around 100.
Especially on summer actually, because they don't want to go to Florida in the summer because it's so hot.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
they come here winter.
Yeah.
I see. I thought all the families would be rushing to Florida during the summer holidays to take their kids to like Disneyland or
3 hours away.
Universal Studios. I see.
Yeah.
Now, for us to get into our chat today and for our listeners who, the very small portion of them who haven't come across you guys or who haven't listened to your podcast, why don't we start with a brief introduction about you ladies? Tell us about your background. Who are you? What are you? And where did you grow up?
All right, let us start. We are Outcasts from the 853. 853 means Macau. You maybe know Hong Kong, which is right beside it.
852.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we consist of two hosts, Paji and Iasmin. I am half Filipino, half Sri Lankan.
And I'm half Filipino, half Brazilian.
Yes, and we've been friends since kindergarten. We went to
3 years old.
local Chinese schools in Macau. So from kindergarten, primary, secondary, they call it there. And then after university, we kind of reconnected again and started this podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. I think we also bonded over because it's a local Chinese school. And so we were like, one of the few foreigners in the class. So so yeah.
Back then in 1990, like I mean that was 1998.
98.
Yeah, we were 3. Yeah. So there was not a lot of foreigners in Macau yet because it was like a fisherman's wharf type of situation there. And they were hiring a lot of foreign people to work. And so our parents, you know, were one of them. And we're not siblings, guys, just whatsoever.
Just to clarify.
Do you get that a lot?
Oh, yeah. Even here in like a shopping mall, they'll be like, oh, you guys are siblings?
I'm like, no, yeah, no, same energy, but no.
It would have been fun.
We could have gotten away with it.
I was gonna ask, how did you ladies meet? But you already answered the question. You girls met during kindergarten's time, and I'm just wondering. You mentioned you guys sort of bonded over the fact that you were one of the few foreigners around. So it will be interesting to get your perspective about like how foreigners are defined in Macau. Even
I get what you mean.
Well, I think from the locals' perspective, you're a foreigner if you don't look Chinese, if you don't look like traditionally, you know, Chinese. I think, or at least that time for us, that was the case. Like because there
might be like half Portuguese, half local,
right?
And, you know, like half Chinese. But then it's just like they at least would speak, you know, Cantonese, have the inside jokes in Cantonese family and stuff. So once we saw each other in class, like we're the only one that's just like, you know, like starting from scratch, like to learn Cantonese,
without family speaking Cantonese. So.
Yeah, so we gotta like have that extra work of just like, you know, wait, what does this word mean? And he's like, you don't know what that means? Like I'm like, no, because we're foreigners. But yeah, so we're the Guaymuis in the class, and we just bonded over the fact that we both can speak English in front, like, you know, that's what one thing too, because a lot of local students at that time don't really speak English. And so when we want to like have a sidebar, we just speak English. So I mean, that's already like one thing that we have in common. And now when we're in America, we use Cantonese to sidebar.
That's just so fun. Like you can definitely like shit talk about the person next to you and no one would understand.
And there's also a lot of Filipino workers actually, yes, in Macau. Like so that's like the foreigners, like the major foreigners. Not, I think there would be more Filipinos than Portuguese now.
Oh wow.
You know?
That's possible.
Yeah, because of the hotels.
It's a huge community, yeah.
Yeah, like they hire the labor workers as Filipinos or Nepalese, mostly, or Indonesian. So yeah, that's a lot of like, Macau is so diverse, if you think about it.
For those who don't know much about Macau, can you also tell us about what it was like growing up in Macau? Or like, do you even get questions like, what is Macau? Where is Macau?
Oh yeah. I mean, people didn't know about Macau until we traveled, or at least for me, when I left high school and went to Europe, I'm like, yeah, I'm from Macau. And they're like, what's Macau? Did you mean Moscow or did you mean Morocco? Like, I'm like, no, I said Macau. My cow? There's so many jokes. Even, what is it? Like, if you're from Macau, we say you're Macanese. They're like, ooh, mac and cheese.
Yeah, no, not a lot of people know about Macau. And whenever I meet someone, you know, like saying like, I'm from Macau, they will always be like, where's that? Like right beside Hong Kong.
That's
like,
all we all say that. You know, it's next to Hong Kong.
Yeah. Now maybe there's more presence, right? But
hopefully.
Before, when it's in the Fisherman's Wharf and the casinos weren't built yet, because they only were built like halfway through our childhood, I feel like, right?
Yeah.
They weren't always there. So it's not, now you can say it's Asia's Las Vegas, but then back then, like really nobody knew about that place. And there's not a lot of direct flights to that place either. You know, you'd have to like take a ferry ride to Hong Kong and then go. So Hong Kong was really the place where we're like, yeah, we're beside there, okay? Then they're like, wait, so is this China? No. The rules are like Hong Kong, not China. You know, we have Facebook, okay? Like that.
Yes. I mean, even now, like telling people that we live in Hong Kong, there's still quite a lot of explaining to do. I could only imagine it must be so much worse for you girls from Macau. I still remember back then going to school in the UK, whenever I tell my classmates, they'll say, hey, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna visit Hong Kong with my family, and then they would be like, oh, is that in Japan?
I've heard of that too, yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of got me curious, like, oh, it must be so much worse for Macau because there's barely any representation around. But earlier you also mentioned you both are half Filipino. But since you grew up in Macau, I'm just so curious, culturally, what is home to you? Is it Filipino, Cantonese, Macanese, or what is it?
Hence our name.
Outcasts.
Yes.
We'll just never feel 100% of each, kind of. But also, we are them, like how we are half of both, but we're also fully both. But then it's like,
yeah,
growing up, our parents also didn't want to mess up our, or add on pressure on like learning more languages. So they're like, you know what, just focus on Cantonese because, I mean, at least my parents didn't really help me with like Tagalog and stuff like that, because she was like, I don't think you can. Like, my mom just had so low expectations. No, they also don't have time, because they're immigrant parents and they're just working all the time. So, yeah, so I learned Cantonese and English like more than Tagalog. I don't even know like Tamil. Like my dad's side, he's Sri Lankan, and I don't know anything. Like I would watch Bollywood movies sometimes with him, but it's, I still don't get it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but for me, I don't know, Macau does feel like home because the Macau we know is like, yes, we learn a lot about the Cantonese culture in school from friends, but we also interacted a lot with the Filipino community, like Filipino parties. We grew up with that. And for me, like meeting my mom's side family, I don't know, like, Macau does feel like home. It's like a very mix. Right, like, but like you said, it's never 100% in one place. Like, if I'm in the Philippines, I would feel out of place. If I'm in brazil, I would feel like a fraud. Like, oh, I'm not real Brazilian.
A lot of our friends actually are like also second generation, like people from Macau. We don't want to say Macanese because it's like, what, you're not a Macanese like immigration wise, like getting, like, if you're like born there, you don't get like the residency, not like normally in places, right? But only if your parents are residents there. So it's like a lot of people, if like foreigners get kids there, it's like you're kind of like attached to their like foreign card.
Oh wow.
Instead, like that's how I grew up. And so even like, so I would be like, I'm Filipino, I have a Filipino passport, I don't have the resident card though, and then like, but I speak like Cantonese and everything like that, so it's like hard to explain that part, that side. So yeah, that's one thing. So whenever people ask, are you Macanese, I can't claim that title.
I see.
That's
so interesting.
But yeah, but when I'm in Philippines, I'm just like, also, I don't know how to speak that. And they're like, oh, she's from the city. Like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's so interesting, right? Because for a lot of people who grew up outside their so-called motherland, it will be very hard for them to define who they are or where home is. And it's even more so for you girls from what you just told us. I don't even want to say it's kind of, your home is Macau, but yet your home doesn't accept you as one of them or to some degree. So it's such an interesting feeling. But how do you digest that? Like, do you just take it lightly, or have you ever felt bothered by that at some point in life?
Maybe, you know what, maybe like sometimes in school for me, like when there's like activities and stuff that needed you to have a residency to join, like some trips or something, like they would get paid for if you're a local, but then I had to like kind of subsidize for that, and then all my parents can't afford, and that's when I'm like, why? I'm just like, but I always take it lightly also because my parents always give me the, oh, in Philippines it's like you have,
how hard life is it in the Philippines?
Yeah, so it's like, okay, I'm thankful, always just thankful, so yeah, I'm always just thankful. I'm pretty, it's, even though like I grew up how it is, like, and maybe some people will see it like, oh, like you never felt belonged or whatever, but I feel like people feel that way even if you're,
yeah, that's true.
So yeah, I don't take it lightly. Everybody has their challenges, and I feel like from what I've gone through, like it's made us who we are now, like you know who I am now, and so yeah, I don't regret how I grew up. Actually, that's this yeah, and I do feel belong in Macau. You know, it's not like
I think going back every time, even though we've moved out already. Like it would always still like be heartwarming. Like even when we reconnected, we're like, oh, like some resemblance from home, feeling like we can talk about Macau and the difference of living here in America. But every time we go home, like it's warm. It's not like, oh, I don't like this place.
Yeah, because we speak Cantonese. You know, like it is literally like sometimes we do think in Cantonese too. Our count, you know, is like 2 over there. And so once we're in Macau, it's like you can just freely speak Cantonese and English. Is like speaking our minds, you know.
It's like, oh shit, people can understand you now.
Yeah. Yep.
I know, Paji, you recently went home for a visit. So how did it feel when you step out of the plane? You're breathing that Macau air. It's like, oh,
humid.
Finally home.
Was
humidity.
So humid. I forgot. I mean, I honestly got desensitized probably. Like I'm just like, you know, back then. But then when I got back there, I'm like, whoa, I'm not used to this. It's sweat all over, or like all the time, 24/7. And you have to have like a tissue pack. Like my sister is just like, you don't have a tissue pack. You have to have a tissue pack. You're gonna just sweat all the time. I was like, I forgot about this. I really did.
Do you guys use Temple in Macau? That's like
Temple,
the best tissue papers.
There's also like the off-brand that's a little cheaper. Cleaning. Like, yeah. But also smells good.
Because I realize tissue papers anywhere else are just so crap. Like in Japan, I just don't understand why. Before you even use it, it just breaks. And it's so much harder to find those like packet tissue papers in the States or elsewhere as well.
Yes. So true.
No, it's true.
It's so true. I was like, because it's everywhere in Macau. Like it's just like
all we get here is like because like when you go to McDonald's or any fast food, they give you like a pile of brown paper, like that's what we keep and we use that, but it's not like tempo quality, you know?
That's what all the grandmas and aunts will stuff a bunch in their handbags.
I stuffed a bunch in my suitcase.
I put some in my car in case.
Did you bring some back for Iasmin from Macau?
She offered me one like 2 days ago when we were watching the soccer game. She's like, oh, do you want a pack of tissue? I'm like,
oh, I know, right? Usually I'm not the one with a tissue in school, you know? I'm like that kid that's just like, I just didn't even bring a pen sometimes. I'm like, we're very opposite.
We're always, we're the one who like, I also ask people for tissue. Like, hey, do you have tissue?
Those clean girls, you know, always.
Now that's the precious cargo. When you fly to the US, that's the precious cargo.
It is. It definitely is.
True. It's true.
People are sleeping on it.
It should happen.
Maybe you can actually bring a whole suitcase and then start selling in like Chinatown. I feel like it's a good business idea.
Yeah. Temple.
It's like, Temple, I got you, the Temple dealer.
It honestly felt like that in school. Like every time I have to, I'm like, oh, I don't have to show. I'm just like, I home with that together. Like they always go like, oh, how are you? Because I go like, it goes like, can I borrow tissue? And it's like, what, you're gonna give it back? Like, are you gonna be? Because when you ask it, right, it's like, can I borrow? But it's because if you ask, like, can you give me? It sounds like so direct.
Even with M-Gun, we'd be like, hey, how much take M-Gun?
It's like, can I borrow?
That's
the pads, right?
The pads.
Yeah, but I feel like there's always that girl's code. Like whenever someone is asking for pads, there will always be someone who would be able to source that and secretly stuff that in your pockets or sleeve. So that's like amazing teamwork.
We love that.
Women empowerment.
Yeah. And now going back to your podcast, you definitely talked a lot about your lived experiences in Macau and also how you feel like an outcast wherever you go. So obviously that's probably where the podcast idea come from. But then I'm also curious, you know, the nitty gritty that led you to actually starting this podcast. You know, what was the first conversation about the podcast and how soon did it go from idea to reality?
Oh, I mean, so Paji, she has a YouTube channel already. Like
It was like, okay.
When she was, I think that was the origin because, you know, like it started with that, like her YouTube channel, right?
Okay, well, since I was 12, I would be just making random videos.
Like
honestly.
YouTube skits, they're really funny. Check them out. It's called.
Did you do one of those like makeup videos?
I did a parody of it, and I'm just like, here is the brush. Like I was like. I was just like I just did parodies all the time. Like Key and Peele is my favorite duo, you know. I was like, and I watched Ryan Higa. I was just like so into that. And then so that was like my main like motivation to do it. And then even in college when I have free time, I would do that. Like just record videos with my friends, and then kind of died down after I started working because like there's just no time, and it's like I wasn't getting anywhere either, you know. Like one of my friends became a boy band guy in Philippines, and then so some got like really high views because he was there. Wow. So it's just like, oh, okay, but then like I kind of got discouraged because it's like, oh, so you're just watching it because the guy's there. It's not even about me. And then when COVID came, I was like bored, and I started to like
here, like in America.
Yeah, I was in America waiting for my job visa, because I moved here with my now fiance. But yes, and so I was waiting for my job visa, working visa, and so I was like bored, and I started recording some episodes, which didn't even get 50 views, and yeah. And then
are they still online?
Oh yeah, actually under an Outcast, you can see. I think it's there still, like below.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna do after this.
Oh no.
I'm not sure if they're public. We'll see.
Oh yeah, we'll see.
Maybe.
I think so.
And then we met up in Jersey because I saw on her story, because we moved to America separately, and I saw on her story tag like New Jersey somewhere, and I'm like, dude, you're in New Jersey, like let's meet up. I'm literally in New York, like an hour away or something. What? And then we met up, and I think I knew about your podcast already, and I was like, hey, let me join your podcast. I'd love to be a
you
guest.
Texted me afterwards.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because like we were like already like we hung out and everything. And I was like, oh my god, it's so cool! I can't believe we're both here. Because like, and we're both with American men. and so like I got back to Florida because guy's family's in New Jersey, and that's why we were there. And so came back to Florida, and she texted like, hey,
I was like, yeah. I was like, I really enjoyed like just meeting her, and you know, like feeling like home again a little bit, you know, because
I didn't have friends either. So
yeah,
it's like,
it was I think it was the first time I moved to America that I could speak Cantonese again.
Wow.
So like from then I felt homesick, and so like meeting was like really nice, and I really wanted to continue the conversation, and I saw that she has a podcast, and I'm like, hey, invite me as a guest, like let's talk, you know?
I was like, how about being my co-host? I'm so bored at it, like how about you join me? And she's like, oh my god, really? I would love to. I'm like, oh. And that's how it's born.
And you mentioned like how fast it became from idea to the reality is that the day I said, yeah, let's do it, she like came up with the logo so fast, we thought of a name so fast, like, hey, let's record tomorrow. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Wow. And it was just like, we start off just right away.
Yeah. And then in the beginning, honestly, we thought us knowing Cantonese, like coming out of Macau and Hong Kong, we would not be able to use it. We thought like everywhere else speaks Mandarin. So
that's true,
yeah. So we were so happy that we could speak Cantonese, right? Because of that fact. And even in the beginning of our podcast, we didn't really have a direction to Cantonese yet. It was more like
Asian versus American culture shock stuff, because that was our first convo, right? Like about a culture shock coming here.
And we wanted to be like an Asian podcast, but then we're
not like East Asian enough, you know? Like there's a lot of like trend in being Asian, but they're like East Asian.
They're like, what are these American girls talking about?
Yeah, and we sound American too. So like, what are these people talking about knowing they're Chinese? Like, they don't know Chinese. Like,
and then we started talking about our Cantonese experience like in school. And then that's when we realized there's actually a lot of people speaking Cantonese.
Like interested in the Cantonese content too.
That too,
Yeah.
So it was the reels actually. Yeah, that became big like last year only, like TikTok and stuff. And so we're like, oh, we gotta get into this. You know, we gotta start doing these short videos.
And it was and you liked it because it goes back to your original interest of making skits.
Oh yeah.
And she loves making skits like that. So
that's true. Yeah, it is fun. And then it kind of like got the algorithm like running only like after posting I don't know how many times consistently, and then it's like we got the Cantonese crowd, like, and then now we're just growing from that.
That's amazing. I still remember, I think early on that like Proudly Asian journey, I somehow found you guys, and then we were all kind of like just, I forgot if that was back when you were also just starting out, and then to now you guys definitely blew up, and then you have over 50K Instagram followers. I'm just like, wow, it's just so amazing to see, and you girls are everywhere and becoming, I don't know the term is like Cantonese KOL. Is that like the right way to describe you guys? But I'm also so curious. Obviously, your content, your podcast, and Reels also connected a lot of Cantonese speaking communities around the world, right? So, what are some of the most heartwarming comments or messages that you have received since you started the podcast?
Oh my god, there's so a lot. There's
what, like, especially ones that's like especially the ones that they like, oh, I really miss my grandma,
trying to communicate with their grandma,
family, like, or they're like second or third generation of a Cantonese family, and so they're like, hearing this really like brings me back, which is what we felt right when we met each other. So that's like really like how we connect with all of these other fans, and or like they have kids
that they want to continue like teaching their kids Cantonese, and also just like people who felt like they never learned much about their parents' culture or one parent's culture, and they want to like connect back to that, and so like some of the stuff that we do helps them.
Yes. And then they're like, oh, you, or it's like, oh, you crack me up, and those really like it like fuels me. I love it. It's like, it's funny, like
stuff like stuff like, oh, when I'm sad, I watch your videos and I feel instantly better. It's like, oh, like, thank you. That's what I like
as a class clown. That is, you know, something that really makes me happy. So yeah, and we learn to focus on those, and it's a lot. Like, we get so much more like positive feedback than negative. And negative, I'm just go away.
Nice.
Go away. I'll just block, you know, because it's like, you don't deserve to watch her stuff.
And just out of curiosity, in Macau, do people also watch the Cantonese drama through TVB?
Yes, for sure. We grew up a little bit with it, you know? Like,
there is a Macau channel, but they don't have like a lot of good stuff now.
The Hong Kong people do it better.
Way better, way better.
I don't know, like as a kid, I also used to watch a bit of TVB drama as well. I thought only I knew about TVB, but then eventually, as I like started meeting more like third culture kids and also Asian kids who grew up outside Asia, there was like, wait, what? Like, I watched TVB as well. I was like, wow, I didn't know that was the common thread that's shared by a lot of people.
Yep. We didn't realize too. I mean, like, I was like, whoa, you guys get TVB in Chinatown? Like, how do you get that cable working?
We thought it was just like a Macau, Hong Kong thing. We didn't know it would come all the way here, you know?
We really like learn a lot from our followers about like the Cantonese culture too. You know, we learn something new every day.
That's amazing.
And we didn't realize there's so many types of Cantonese as well. You know, like different regions. And a lot of engagement comes from people trying to, you know, correct us or add some stuff to us, and which is fun. We're all like learning, right? So.
And I know you guys do get a fair bit of haters comments as well. So, I mean, definitely it hasn't been very easy, right? I mean, is it still going on, or it has died down a little bit?
I would say like I guess when it first started, it was obviously harder because the comparison of like support to like hatred maybe isn't a big difference. Now it's a huge difference. Like we get a lot of comments and we're like, they get flooded somewhere else. Sometimes we don't even see the negative comments. So it's like the good ones like overpower it for sure. But in the beginning when it started, we were, we saw
get
all
really
of them.
hurt from it, for sure. Yes, especially now. Even if I like accidentally see one, I'm like, oh, I hate it because like I would get my days ruined, and But sometimes they're usually like from trolls. You go in there and they don't even have any followers, or like their comments are just ignorant, or they didn't even see our bio,
or like. Just like, oh no, there's actually this, and we're trying to say like, no, there's more ways to say it. Like, we're not saying what we grew up with, that's how we learn.
Ever heard of synonyms? Cantonese has synonyms too, darling. And then so also like people that are just proud of Mandarin, sometimes they think we're trying to say something about, like they would be like
being political.
Yeah, they would be like, be respectful of like every language like that. And I'm like, okay. It's more like a all language matter type of thing, I guess. I mean, we're like, dude,
you can't talk about Cantonese because Mandarin matters too.
Yeah, and then there was one video I do those teaching videos as well, and I got this like comment was like, who would want to learn Cantonese from someone who's not even Asian?
She's full Asian. Guys, there's just more than one type of Asian.
Yeah, Sri Lankan Filipino, that's very Asian.
Exactly.
Live in Macau, triple Asian.
This is Asian.
This is still Asian, okay? Yeah, we have curly haired Asians, okay, guys?
Or if it's not clear to them, maybe you can direct them to Proudly Asian and just do a scroll through the page and see like all the faces of Asian.
Exactly.
They are all Asians.
Yes.
Yeah, but I get you. It's like, I mean, like initially for Proudly Asian, we also do get some like troll comments or like haters, but then eventually they just become a bit comical, because I've got one where someone was like, why would I listen to a Proudly Asian podcast when all of your guests have white boyfriends or spouses? I was like, that's not true.
Oh my god.
And then I actually had to like go through the whole profile again. It's like, nope, not white. And then it's like, okay, yeah, actually 80% of our guests don't have a white spouse, but also what's wrong with having one?
Exactly.
What is wrong?
There's nothing wrong.
Exactly.
It doesn't make them any less Proudly Asian. So
That's true.
they just become so ridiculous that every time I see it, just like, okay, this is a joke. So like, I don't even take it personally anymore.
You can't. And then the fact that it got to you, right? And then you have to check. Like, I know, like, same. I'm just like, sometimes like they say, oh, this is not it. And I would like have to Google. I'm like, what am I doing? It's like, why? I don't have to listen to this.
No, it's true. It's like sometimes we don't even respond to them because like it's hilarious. Like sometimes we could just pin them and be like, I'll let you embarrass yourself.
Oh yeah, our fans actually like kind of like back us up.
Oh
too.
yeah, that's also really nice because it's like, sweet. We don't even respond, but like other people would respond to this hate comments, be like,
yeah, I like it when other people start stepping in and just clap back.
Yeah, it's not like they're making any content. They're not making any content.
They're literally on their bed scrolling and be like, I don't like this, comment, and then like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Being rude.
Yeah. But I mean, before we move on to a little bit more about the whole Cantonese and Macau specific elements, I just have one more question regarding podcasting for you both. This is coming from a podcaster to another podcasters, which is, I know you both also juggle a day job. So just so curious, how do you still get it going? Because every day you have content and you're also doing podcasts, you're doing merch, you're doing a lot of collaborations and initiatives. Do you even sleep?
Yeah, I know, right? Oh my god. So working from home really helped a lot, because especially after COVID, that's becoming a thing. And I'm a graphic designer, and so like and she works for marketing, and so it's like we get a lot of like in between times where we could like, hey, you got time to record a podcast? And we're just like, we go at it.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the reels and stuff, we do it when we were like free. Hopefully,
I think we've done it a lot already. It's like it's like faster. We kind of knew, maybe in the beginning it took longer, but now it's like, it's like quick, come up with the reel.
Yeah, I'm on my phone all the time anyways, so
might as well make some content.
Yeah, and I'll just like, especially when I get like a thought, I'm like, oh, real quick.
I mean, when I was working, not remotely, like in person, so sometimes we would even do, because we had guests like from Macau, so we have to adjust the time zone, and even now this is like different time zone. But like we would have to wake up like 6 a.m. and record then. Remember when we used to do it like before I went to work or like after I come back from work?
Yeah.
But the time was we were working 24 hours. Like, okay, 10 p.m. we got to do an episode. All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Like, we have to do 7 a.m. All right, let's do it. Like,
but I always told ourselves, like, we're doing this for fun. Okay. If we ever like feel like we want to rest. Yeah. But we're just doing this as a hobby, honestly. Like how some people would take time to knit. I don't like knitting or reading a book. So I create these contents, So yeah, it kind of works out since we like doing it. And, sometimes some people like reach out to us like from Macau or something, like that they're starting their own channel or whatever, and they're like, how do you do it? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, you just do it because you want to.
I think definitely in the beginning was like obviously like challenging too, like just like jumping
seeing the
into
results.
It. Yeah, sure, seeing the result, but like also the time putting into it, like. But then now, like,
in the beginning, it was hard to like, justify our like hard work because it's like, oh my god, we're not even getting 100 views on this. No. But I always like we keep pushing each other, like don't look at the numbers, just stay consistent.
It helped that we liked talking together too. Like it helped that we enjoyed just talking about stuff.
Yeah, it's like having a call like with your friend every week, like so we don't even kind of like prepare.
Sometimes we tried planning contents,
just maybe topics. Sometimes we like put there. Sometimes we go off topic, and it's like it's not even something that we plan, but it always comes back to something good for like our viewers.
That's nice.
So yeah, and then. Yeah, it really is like more of like a fun. Well, that's what we like focus on, and that's how it made it easier.
Yeah. I do hear you, and I agree that as long as you're still having fun, that's the most important thing. And for those starting out, just don't forget the element of fun. Just remember to have fun. Like, don't even think about, I have to like come up with this formula to get 50K followers. Usually when you do that, that's when you don't get it.
Yes, that's so true. When we were like initially learning about the reels, like Instagram algorithms and TikTok, were like the ones that for example, the one that I made that was the least effort, like minimal effort. I was like, I don't know if I should post this. And then suddenly like now it's like 900K view compared to like maybe a skit we prepared more, but it was like, oh, it's okay,
Yeah, sometimes like there was one that we did like a poetry or something. There was a typo. And it's like, oh man, but that was getting so much traction, like because it's like it's just like, and yeah, we really didn't know like what this worked and not. Even now, we're just like kind of just put whatever out there and like, okay, hope for the best,
Yeah.
Before we would
Done
go
is
like
better than perfect.
Yes, exactly. We would go like best time to post.
Oh my god,
and everything like that.
I mean, you have a global audience. There's no best time to post because either way, it's gonna neglect part of your audience.
You're right.
You're right.
Yeah. Now, I want to move on and take a deep dive into all things Cantonese and Macau. And since lately I really love talking about food, so why don't we start with food?
Our favorite.
I'm so curious if you girls can recommend top 10 Macau eats or street food that maybe not a lot of people know about, like insiders list. What would it be?
First one I thought of is 猪扒包.
Is it pork chop bun?
Yes, pork chop bun.
I know that one.
It's just a bun and a pork, like literally nothing else. But they do the pork so well. It tastes good. It's good.
The bun
it's a good combo.
It's like, I think it's also like made in like a charcoal like oven or something, and it's like really nice and fluffy. And if you don't like 猪扒, there's also 雞扒, chicken thigh. That's one thing I realized here. Like, they only use chicken breast here for chicken sandwiches, but in Asia,
even 猪扒, like pork, we don't really use pork as a, for like burgers or sandwich or bun. Like it's more beef and chicken, at least in America.
In America, right?
Right.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right, for me, I would like just any fishball stall. Like they just have tons of it everywhere. Skewers. Yeah, gale yudan, like a curry fishball. That alone satisfies my craving every day. It's like so good. They always have that sauce that's just like, it's curry, but it's still not just curry. It's a sauce that is like, oh my god, I want more.
Every stall has a secret sauce, right?
Yes. Yes. There will be like yun zap ting la zap, like normal sauce or spicy. I want both, please. Both.
Wow, that's a secret menu there.
Yeah.
Good tip for those who are visiting Hong Kong or Macau.
And if you want some veggies with the fish balls, you could always get some veggies too. Like, it's like cooked with the sauce. Like, or
if you feel like being, healthier, add some veggies.
It's just all kinds of like fish ball, like, meatballs, and then veggies on the side, or sausage. Like, so many options for this skewer bowl that you buy.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. What up next week?
I'm hungry.
This is gonna get you hungry.
And then third, of course, we cannot miss this, is potat, Portuguese tart.
There's Lord Stowe's is the original
Go
OG,
to that one.
Egg tart. They have like egg tarts everywhere there, but Lord Stowe's is the one.
When I tried to explain that to the Americans here, I was like, oh, like Portuguese tart, you gotta try. And they're like, oh, it's kind of like custard. Like, I guess custard would be the best. Custard tart would be the best.
But better.
Yeah, better. The difference of like Hong Kong tart is I think the crust around.
And they burn the top part a little bit too.
There's like a little dots from a little like crusty. Yeah, and it's like more of a croissant crust than like the cookie crust.
Yeah. Yes.
They're both good, but
croissant is better. Like the Portuguese tart is
flaky. Like, how do you? Oh, it's so good.
Now you're declaring war. It's like Hong Kong egg tart.
Hey, this is what we're used to. Controversial like content.
I like both. I swear.
We need a debate about it, but our listeners do tell us, what do you think? Hong Kong egg tarts
let
or
us
Portuguese
know.
egg tarts?
Yes.
It's not a competition. I'm just gonna get with it.
Oh, it is.
They're both
Game
so
on.
good. And then 4, I would go Gam Lei Min Dim. Well, any noodle place is good there, but there's just one noodle shop.
Like a local noodle shop.
Yeah, it's in Taipa, in like Macau Taipa. So Macau is like 3 islands, by the way. Macau, it's called, and then Taipa and Kolowan. So it's like bustling city that's like attached to China. Then Taipa, where we live, where it's like kind of calm. Kolowan, way more calmer. But then like in Taipa, there's this noodle shop called Gamlei, and everything is in Chinese, and those signs and everything. You have to kind of know Chinese to order, or just have it
go
written
with
down.
Someone who knows.
Yeah. And because
that's when you know it's good, right?
Yes. When they don't speak Chinese, when they yell out the order.
Ooh, I always get the ngao lam chow mein. Like, you have to specify which type of noodles you want to, or just get whatever noodle you want. But it's like the soup is like the broth is thick. Like, I don't know how you
I feel like it's all
explain.
it's all about the broth. The broth is so rich in flavor. They boil it for a long time, and it's just
and they like run out like at 5 or 4. They're like, oh no more ingredients that. I'm like, oh no. But yeah, that's one I really love.
Nice. Wow.
And then there's char siu.
Char siu fan, of course.
Oh, every time I see that hanging, I miss that. Just those hanging char sius. Like,
if it's hanging, it's good.
Yeah, get the seafood.
And it's like glistening.
Yes. I always get like gyeongyong to dip as well.
Gyeongyong is like a ginger scallion oil sauce.
Yeah. And every time I say that,
it goes with char siu.
Yes, you put it on your rice.
char siu or siu yok also can.
Or siu yok.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they will be like, every time I say it, like, oh, gyeongyong, and they're like, oh, sick.
Like, you know how to eat. Like, if you get this sauce, that means you know how to eat char siu and rice. Yeah.
I did not know about that.
It's pretty simple. Like, if you made with Lao, like this channel that makes Cantonese food, like they also tell you how to make it. Like, it's really good.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Nice.
And then there's
Where are we at now?
Yeah, fifth,
We're like
sixth,
fifth.
sixth. Chang Fan. Oh my god,
Oh,
all those breakfast
Chang
places.
Fan. I don't even know how to explain
Rice
it.
roll?
Rice roll.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Steamed rice rolls.
Yeah, steamed rice.
I always
roll.
get the
Is it
same
with
one.
that like peanut sauce, sweet sauce? Is it the
Yes.
same style?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even get the peanut sauce. I just get the sweet sauce.
I
and
get both
just-
because I like the balance of flavor.
I when I eat there, I will every bite I will put the sauce. Yeah.
I can almost taste it.
I know. Oh.
I really like congee or rice porridge. That's what it's called.
Girl.
Jok. I love jok. So like
Yeah.
if you want to try like the most basic one is peidan saoyok jok, which is like a century egg with pork in it. And the flavor just comes so well together with the little scallion on top. And it's so nice to your tummy, like, warm.
And it's
Ah,
cool
it's-
how it's like everywhere has jok, right? Like in any
That's
like
true, yeah.
restaurant, usually they have just jok making.
Any breakfast place, kind of like cha chan tang. If you go to, it's kind of like
yeah.
we call it the Chinese diner.
True. Yes, and honestly, like when people say like, "Oh, century egg," like why is it black?
Why is it black?
The best time to try it is with that corn.
Yeah.
I think like
Mm.
Porridge. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
it really gives it that flavor, right? I know it looks completely ugly, but then the times that I just close my eyes and eat it, I'm just oh, this is the bomb. It's so good.
I
It's
know,
good.
it's so good. I love it.
What else? Maybe like two more. I think we have.
Mm.
Right.
Oh,
Minji. That is like
yeah.
that's like a Maccanese like actual like dish because it's a fusion of like Asian, Chinese and Portuguese, and it's one of my favorites of it. Like Maccanese food is Minji, which is like minced beef and pork mixed together with like cubes of potatoes and with an egg on top. And
It's simple, but it's good.
yes,
Well,
simple but good.
I think I'll mention one like more Portuguese dish that I think usually people who are from Macau would know it. It's called bacalhau. It's like these balls of made with mashed fish, and I think I'm not sure there's potato in it, but like it's like a
They fry
fried
it.
ball of fish.
Oh wow.
It's like a
mashed
croquette, like,
fish. Yeah, what's a good comparison?
like an empanada. No, yeah, empanada. No,
I don't know, but it's called bacalhau, so bacalhau fish,
Mm.
but like a ball fried thing.
yeah.
It's good. It's the texture is almost like mashed potato, but the flavoring is crunchy, a little crunchy on the outside and soft when you bite into it.
Yes,
Sounds so yummy.
That's like a good Maccanese food to try.
Is it good on its own, or does it normally pair with other stuff?
I think on its own.
on its
I would
own.
eat it on its own.
On its own is very
Yeah.
flavorful already.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
there's this sauce called potap. It's really just curry, but it's Portuguese curry. Like it's
Okay.
like there's no spice, and it's like with coconut.
Oh, is it
milk.
that like yellow or yellowish
Sauce. Yes,
Right.
yellowish sauce. And so all those like Maccanese restaurants, you can just get like potap kaivan, and it's like the
Mhm.
sauce with the
Chicken.
chicken, like baked chicken. That's good too. Oh my god, I'm like drooling over here. Yeah. Do we have like more?
I'm just curious, what do you think of KFC's Portuguese tart and their take of the chicken rice?
Oh, interesting.
It's true.
Have you tried it?
It's good. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Like I think fast food in Macau in general, Macau and Hong Kong, just way better than here. Like in terms of like the American chains, like obviously they're trying to show a good image for America. Maybe the ingredients just seem fresher. Like I would eat McDonald's and KFC all day there, but then here, it's like
It's
okay.
a bit sad.
I gotta be healthy. Yeah, it's a bit
mhm,
sad. It is.
Or if it's on the West Coast, In-N-Out would be a much better option.
Oh, I want to
Oh,
try.
we
really
never
wanna try.
tried.
We
You haven't
haven't
tried.
been in the West Side.
I'd love to try, yeah.
You have to
wanna
go. You have to go and let me know what you think. But we talked about the food in Macau, but I'm also wondering if there's anything that you girls would like people to know about Macau, or something that not a lot of people know about the city. What's the
That-
secret?
you can get by with English. That's what it is.
You can or you
You
can't.
can. I think you can now, right? Like, and what
Wait,
more?
the question is what we would want people to know about Macau.
Yeah, so something that not a lot of people know about Macau, or like whenever you talk to people about Macau, something that you tell them and then they're like, "Oh, didn't know about that."
Let me
Colonized by
think. There's a
Portugal?
lot. Yeah, do people? I feel like people might know
There's our signs are Portuguese and Chinese
that too.
instead of English.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
Oh, wow.
it's
Okay.
Chinese and Portuguese, and people are like, that's such a weird two languages to put
So
together.
does
Yeah.
everyone there speak Portuguese also, or have a degree of knowledge?
Well, our school
depends on what school you go to, because
Yeah.
the public school teaches Portuguese still, and some people who are interested in the language pursue Portuguese and they go to Portugal to study.
Yeah, but it's like
mostly,
Spanish, you know, in America, like Spanish, right? Like a side language.
You learn it for 5 years here, but nobody really speaks it. They
Something
know
like that.
words, but
Yeah. So us, we kind of know it just because, you know, like we know English too, so it's easier for us to kind of. It would be like one of our easy A subjects.
I think one thing that I thought was interesting was like I was reading an article saying that Macau at some point our gambling or all the casinos were actually doing a lot like better than Las Vegas because of all the mainlanders that were coming. Like we have a lot of mainlanders coming and going just for a day to gamble, and that's why like Macau is able to provide subsidies for people. Because
we're rich
because of how well our casinos were doing.
They're rich, but yeah,
Macau is rich. Yeah,
nice.
But with the Portuguese thing though, all the forms are still like Chinese and Portuguese, and I'm just like, yo, can you give me some English? Like, so I have to like translate for my mom every time, like until now.
It's interesting though.
Yeah.
It's just you don't see that combo everywhere. It might be just one of the only places where you can see both languages on a sign. But is there still a significant Portuguese speaking community there, or not really?
I think the older ones speak.
Older. Well, there's a Portuguese school, you know.
That's true. They're still, but they're like Portuguese, not like not usually mix. Not a lot, at least.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes only, yeah.
If they want to end up working in Portugal, probably, yeah, they would learn Portuguese, or it's with family that they would like. But is it a big amount of people? I don't
know. I think now that like the politics with China's changing, there's also more kind of Chinese moving in as well.
More Mandarin speaker now. I feel like,
in school now it's more important to speak Mandarin. Like you got to teach the kids who don't understand Cantonese. You got to speak Mandarin as a teacher.
Because in resorts and stuff, you know, it's like a requirement to learn to know Mandarin now, and English, like, but more Mandarin actually,
right?
Because number one client is the Mandarin.
That's true. And since you speak multiple languages, English and Cantonese, you both are native at. So have you ever experienced that bilingual moment? And I'm gonna explain a little bit. It's like there's this meme going around social media. It's just like it says bilingual. It essentially means because you have knowledge or you speak more than one language, there are moments when you just completely forget how a certain vocabularies or like a certain phrases in either one of the languages that you actually speak.
Oh, for sure.
Always.
It's easiest for us to speak when we mix English and Cantonese. Even for me and my sisters too. Like when we speak to someone who understands English and Cantonese, then I don't have to try too hard to fit everything into one language.
Yes. Or even forming sentences.
Yeah.
We were saying this in our last episode. It's just like usually in Cantonese, when a question, you really just say the same like sentence as like if you already done it, just with like a questioning
like
sound.
At the end, like
and then like jo, you know. But then when like in English, you know, you got to start with did you do it yet?
What did you do? Or did you do it?
So I would be like, you did it not? Like, because it's like halfway through, I realized I'm asking a question, but I said you did it instead. So I'm like, you did it no? So I like add like a question mark afterwards. Like that's how like I ask something like that. Or even
I think for sure like vocabs too. Like some words just I couldn't translate fast enough to English, then I'd say it in Cantonese.
Then it's like I know it's this, but
Yeah. Then I'll ask like, hey, what's this in English? And I don't know.
And then we went to school in Chinese school, so all our technical school words is in Cantonese. And then so there's times where we would feel so dumb, like, and like, because it's like, are you a smarter or a fifth grader? Is that Cantonese school though? You know?
Like if you ask us what's mercury in Cantonese, like we'll know it, or like little science words like that, you know?
or something like that.
But even just like, since we live in America now, like the way we think and like the structure, how we form, like the way we think is so different from
expressing feelings.
Oh, that
is so hard, because I'm just like also don't want to say what I like don't mean, and sometimes like some different people with different perspectives might receive it differently, you know, like especially in relationships, like I feel like there's times I take some time to really like wonder how can I say this
so it's not misunderstood.
Yes, because there's ways of forming sentences where like you can perceive it as a different way, you know, and I would sometimes don't realize it till later that I'm actually being mean, you know, or something like that, or just arguments could happen.
I get you.
Yeah.
I mean, for myself as well, as like I definitely can't do a work conversation in Cantonese. The only Cantonese that I will speak is like with my family and relatives, and even so, like sometimes I would try my best to put together, let's say, a sentence with them, but then they're like, why you say it in this really weird way? It's like, you know, sometimes, for example, it's like食咗lunch未? But I would try to make it all Cantonese rather than like saying lunch. They're like, we don't say it like that. It's like食咗lunch未is okay.
That's true. So true.
Yes.
We mix in English words all like way more now.
Actually,
way
it's
more.
very hard for big city people to not mix English in their daily languages, because for Cantonese or even for people in Manila, it's kind of hard for them to just speak pure Tagalog, right?
Yeah,
it's so integrated that it's
we're just in the future all the languages just gonna be like all morphed, you know.
Exactly. Or everyone speaks Mandarin.
Oh my god. It's like that's what I'm opposed to it. I would learn, you know.
我们会说一点点。
我可以说
我
一点点。
的普通话非常的好。
哎，非常好，非常很棒，很棒，
很棒。
发票。When I went on a business trip to Shanghai, that's what my colleagues told me. That's the only. It's like if you don't know anything else, just 发票, so you can file the expense report.
发票.
I love it.
Before we go to rapid fires, I'm just wondering, what are some of your favorite Cantonese phrases?
Mine is amado mienka. It's like you can exaggerate literally anything with that. You know, like imagine if it's so hot, right? It's like Yito amado mienka. Like exaggerate. It's so anything. Hot that even my mom can't recognize me.
Yeah, or something like that.
Or even I can't recognize my mom. See, we kind of have the debate. It's like amado mienka could mean the mom doesn't recognize you, or even can mean like you don't even recognize your mom. But either way, it's just so exaggerated that it's like I love using it. Like ito amado mienka. It's like what's yours?
What's mine? I don't know. Like I thought of like Sansaya. Like even though we're gonna die. It's just like such a little, like, even if I feel like even things teachers would say to your students, like, you did it wrong. Sansaya. I don't know, like sounds bad, but
they do add the say, right, and to intensify. It's
like say,
like kui saying, or like tired die me, like, and sometimes they would even like, say
it's so
it English.
Hot, I'm gonna die.
Oh, yeah, they even would say it English, like tired die me. Like it's even funnier when they like translate like one word to English just to like or. Joing, like ing, like the ing, like they would add it. Like I'm like, yo, stop,
Do they also say like eating is like sick ing or something?
Sick ing?
Do people say that?
Sick ing.
or the other way, 嘟緊啊，
嘟緊，
我嘟緊啦，
yes，
我 down 緊啊，download 緊
down, yeah.
So I'm downloading, I'm down 緊啊
Yes. We literally have someone say that, but they used a Chinese
Dong.
word that sounded like
我
down.
當緊啊
I was so confused. I was like, 當緊? 當緊? Why can't you say 下載緊? You know, I'm like, wait.
And I know
Yeah.
this is not like a Cantonese phrase, but then back in the day when I was working in a TV newsroom, there were a lot of Cantonese video editors. I would have to work with them so closely every day. And sometimes you would like say one word, but then you double it up. For example, if I want to request video footage of Donald Trump, I would say, give me some Trump. That's like...
some Trump.
Betty Tim Tim. Yeah, I think they would do that. It's so fun.
But then it's not even like they find the person cute or like it's not even an endearing way. It doesn't mean anything.
Nope. Yep.
Yeah. So it's such a fun language.
It
So
is.
I do encourage everyone who are curious about the Cantonese language, do follow these two girls at
Yes.
Outcasts
Thank
from
you.
853. But now it's time for us to move on to the next segment, the best one, which is called
Rapid Fires.
Now, in this segment, I'll be asking my guests biased questions that they've got asked at some points in life. And so, Paji and Iasmin, are you ready?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
First question. Why is your Cantonese so good?
Because we went to Chinese school.
Because we're Chinese, can't you tell?
It's so obvious. Oh my god, guys.
Right. Born and raised in 853, aka Macau.
And next one. But you don't look Chinese.
Immigrant parents moved to Macau and had us.
I guess that's always the follow-up question after the first question, right?
So true.
Yeah.
So true. TCK kids. TCK.
Yeah.
Third culture.
It's like always people trying to figure out where are you really from?
Yeah, it's like that is the most. Yeah, it's like the most like interesting thing that they want to know, huh?
It's like they just can't see where you're from because you really can't see where people are from.
That's true. That's true.
Yes, 我哋係澳門人.
Oh my
Yes. Macau represent.
That's why our logo color is also green, like on the side, like our green theme. Because the flag is green.
The flag is green.
澳門人啊.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
nice. And the next question. Why would we learn Cantonese from someone who's not even Asian?
Bah, I'm Asian. 100% Asian, okay?
Yeah.
And I bet my Cantonese still better than you.
Ooh, mic drop. And next one, the classic one. Do you
Oh,
eat
God.
dogs in Macau?
Yeah, they're really good, you know? Our pet dogs, like, so yummy.
Folks.
How do you like it?
No, we don't. We actually
No, we
love our dogs so much, okay?
Same. They don't eat dogs or cats in Hong Kong.
Macau,
so.
yeah.
Now, the next question. Calling names like Pum Pum.
Pan pan.
This is a derogatory term for Filipinos in Macau.
Pan pan.
Pum Pum.
Yeah.
So-
So there's this snack actually in China called pan pan. Pin pin. They call it pin pin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm like, that's
Oh,
rude.
wow.
Like, cause I saw what's his name? The Blasian guy. What's his name?
Ryan, yes.
Yeah, he made a real like, oh, this is my favorite like. Pin pin. It's like Wong 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 Bang, but it's like another brand. And then it's like, oh, pin
Oh.
pin. I'm like,
That's what, like, some of the locals, if they're rude, like, they would be like,
they would
oh,
say,
pan pan
say
na.
pan pan.
Even now on our reels, like, oh, pan pan gao.
Yeah, they sometimes would just say it, and I'm like,
Because it's like,
whatever.
it's from the word Philippine, Philippines.
Oh,
So
pan.
that's why pan pan, yeah.
So it's like, yeah, pan. So, people can argue that, oh, it's not racist, it's just like how we call
How we
them,
call
and
them,
blah, blah,
yeah.
blah, like, guai lo, guai
But
moi, but it's
the-
always the context.
The intention is never, it's not always good, so it's
Yeah.
like, Yeah,
It's kind of like just
exactly.
calling Chinese people like chink, right? That's
Yeah,
nice.
basically. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I know
so-
in Hong Kong they call a lot of Pakistani or South Asian guys achar.
Acha.
Achar.
Dang, yeah.
Do you know that one?
No, never heard.
Okay. I actually don't know
That's so rude.
why achar or what's the origin. It might be similar to a certain English word, but I need to
Yeah.
find out.
I feel like now the rudest term, like in America, is calling someone, "Are you white?" I don't know, like white people. I feel like now it's like that's the like slur.
Are they offended?
Yeah, yeah.
They're gonna start feeling offended. Like, you call me white? I'm.
Or like some people would go as politically correct as like they just avoid describing the color of skin. There's like that person.
So, or even with the pronouns now, we say that person or that.
When you're like describing like a story or something, and you're like, no, wait, who is it? Who is it? The black guy. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah, or like
okay,
they would
okay,
be
okay.
like, people of your background. They would ask questions,
Oh
but they
my
would just
God.
avoid. It's like, oh, you're from the black community, but they were like people of your background. But then you're like, okay, I know you're talking about like either Asian or black. Just say
That's
it.
true. Just say it. Yes.
You'd be like, what's my background, huh? What's my background?
I
What is
know.
it?
And next up, do you watch only anime in Asia?
You got this question.
I've watched Sesame Street, so is that
We wa-
anime?
Right? Is SpongeBob an anime?
I know, right? So like, no, we don't. And actually, I never watched anime until like actually recently when COVID times when I was like really bored, and I'm like, okay, I gotta binge, because that's the thing. There's so many episodes, and back then, you can only watch it if you buy the VCD or DVD
Yeah,
or
because-
Or
whatever.
the whole box set, right?
Nah, so we're not gonna buy that. Like at home, I have like what Barbie princess cartoons sometimes or Looney Tunes.
And we liked, because we were, you know, we are in Chinese, so like most of the animes they play on TV is like Chinese, and sometimes we like to watch like English cartoons growing up, like Teletubbies.
Yeah, we will
Oh.
switch through channels because there's those 4 channels, right? Like the TVB Pearl, that's the English TVB.
The Pearl, yeah.
TVB Jade is the Chinese TVB. Then there's the ATV also that
Oh.
has both English and Chinese too. So like after school, you could like kind of like alternate those to your favorite. And there's Sesame Street, there's Teletubbies. So UK or American, you choose. And then also sometimes they would have anime in the Chinese side too, like Keroro Kwancho or Doraemon. You know, that's anime, right?
Doraemon, yeah.
That's anime. is it?
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
gotta say,
like those
anime
type.
is actually the best part of Asia. So there's nothing to be ashamed
Oh
of.
yeah.
Also,
No, yeah. So good.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's kind of like that soft power of Asia.
Yes.
Right?
once the internet is like up there, I'm like, oh my god, it's so easy to just browse whatever you want to watch. And like, yeah, I love anime just because they're so creative.
And finally, on Rapid Bias, is it possible for you to get even darker?
That's
oh
a you
my
question.
god.
Yep.
Do people actually ask that?
Oh yeah. Just
They would say, "Wow, why are you so black?"
why are you so black? Yeah, and they're gonna be like, did you just came from Africa?
Yeah.
And like, is it only
They don't
Africa
have the
that
word-
can get dark? Like,
They
what?
don't have the word tan. So.
Okay.
Like hacho, yeah, it's like you got blacker like that. There's always like the direct translation.
So what's your response to that? Can you get even darker?
I'm like, I don't know, honestly.
Let's find out.
I know, right? It's like, let's see. For real though. Yeah, but yeah.
All right. That's it for Rapid Bias. And for us to close out the episode, you guys are always churning out content on a daily basis. I just want to know if our followers who don't already know you, where can they find you? And do you have any exciting projects coming out?
Yes. So, our major outlet is on Instagram. So follow us on Instagram, Outcasts from the 853, on YouTube, on Spotify as well. We have episodes coming out once a week. And we're on TikTok as well,
Mm-hmm.
and Facebook. Yeah, we're like
We're like all over.
everywhere.
We're all over. Yeah, we're everywhere.
All over everywhere.
Just as outcasts from the 853.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And our upcoming projects will have a series of basically us going back to our high school years, and we would have like high school series of
let's spoiler alert. Let's say like a series.
It's like,
Let's say
it's like a
series.
project.
We'll just say series. It's coming soon to our subscribers, and it will be like exciting.
Nice.
Exciting. Okay,
Wow.
we'll like do it like that. Like
High
like
school,
low-key.
chaotic times.
Yeah, because like that's our like main.
there's a lot. I mean, we have a lot of experiences then together, you know.
We don't want to give out that, like a lot of like information yet, but yes, it's gonna be exciting.
If you guys want to watch that, go ahead and subscribe.
Oh yeah, one more thing. Our merch. Go see our merch, guys.
Yes.
Outcastthepodcast.com.
All right. And before we go, one last question. Finally, what does it mean to be proudly Asian to you?
Ooh. For me, I mean, I think for me it's all about the food. Like I'm really happy that, like, for example, like being in a relationship that my husband actually appreciates like the Asian food, like even the Filipino. Sometimes it's weird to people, or sharing the food culture. I feel like that's a big part for me, being proudly Asian. And I'm still learning to make my dad's food, you know, like, or even food from Macau, like, because they always used to make it for us. So like now I'm on my own. Now I gotta learn to make it because it's good and it's home.
Yes, that's true. Learning to be proudly Asian. It's like being proud of your food, being proud of the flavors, being flavorful.
Being flavorful, yes.
Even in attitude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm proud to be Asian because, you know, just having more different perspectives of like the world and stuff, like being more, I would say, more humble. I feel like is a part of the Asian culture, and I like that.
True.
Yeah, and I'm proud to be a part of that. Right?
Yeah, that's a superpower because that means you can navigate between all the cultures that you have links to, and not everyone could do that.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this episode of Proudly Asian. Thank you so much, Paji and Iasmin, for joining us. It was such a fun chat.
Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Proudly Asian. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at proudly.asian for more content. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review on wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in and signing off for now. I'm Isabel Wong.